Hi everyone! This video is mostly for parents, but kids are welcome to watch too. I've had a few parents emailing me and asking me, what do we do with books at home besides just read them? How do we read at home like teachers read with kids at school? So this video is to help parents read a book with their child like a teacher would at school, like I would during a guided reading group in my reading club, which is now my dining room. So here we go. I'm going to go over a couple of things. Some first graders get these decodable books. Kindergartners maybe too, but what I'm going to say can be true for lots of books that you have in your home. With books like this, there are certain phonics skills. If you head to the back of the book, you can see which phonics skills are being taught. This one is about the sounds of double O, which say oo and and the words are listed there. So it's great to kind of start in the back of the book, see what the focus is, and then you can read through the book, highlighting words that have that phonics skill. That's a great purpose for reading books like this because they're specifically designed to help your child learn a new sound that will help them become a more fluent and accurate reader. So you can do things like that with a book like this. It will also list high frequency words or sight words that are being taught that week. And the rest of the book has words that are previously taught phonics skills and previously taught high frequency words. So they should be able to read the majority of the book if they are reading at grade level. If not, just give them extra support with sounding out, looking at the pictures, providing the word for them when needed to help them get through the story, things like that. Okay, so that's a good strategy for books like this, is to really read it focusing on that phonics skill. But for all sorts of other books that you might have in your home, other things that the teachers are assigning for your child to read, when you sit down to read a book with your child, you don't usually want to just start right in on the story. It's a good idea to get warmed up for reading like you do for exercising. So before you start reading, you can do some things like this. You read the title, you look at the front and back covers, you take a picture walk, looking through the book, letting the child kind of scan through. What sort of things do you see? What do you think might be happening? I don't like to take full picture walks all the way to the end of the book because sometimes there's a surprise ending and I don't like to, be a part of a spoiler. But if we go through the first few pages, it does help get our brains warmed up for vocabulary that's going to be in the book and gets us thinking about meaning and what's going to go on in this story. So picture walks are a great strategy to do before you actually start reading. If you're reading informative text that has a lot of headings, I would also read those prior to reading the whole book. Some books will have a synopsis on the back or a little summary. I like to read those with kids first often. Making predictions is another good strategy, and I know that this is really small and you can't see it too well. Any parent who would like me to send this to them as a PDF, just email me. It's calby@bousd.us, and I'm happy to send this to you as a PDF. This is so that I don't forget to tell you anything right now, but I know it's a little too small for you. Okay, so predictions, thinking of words or concepts that might be in the book. That's especially true for informative text, activating some background knowledge if you're reading about volcanoes, talk a little bit about lava, other words that you might encounter in the book to help your child with understanding. You can always preview or define some tricky words if you look through. That can be done as you go or before. Either way, a lot of these overlap as you're reading through. I like to always set a purpose for reading with kids. Let's read to find out what Henry and Mudge do together in this story. Or let's read to learn about volcanoes and how they form. Something like that to sort of get them focused on meaning before they start reading. And then just really try to set the tone for a calm and fun experience. If you're also trying to finish up dinner and get it on the table and you're saying, okay, go, let's read, come on, we got to get this done before dinner. It's starting the process with a little bit of anxiety. So, sit down to read with your child when you really have time for it. get under a blanket, get cozy, make it, sort of a fun experience. Set that tone for calm, especially for kids that are struggling with reading and aren't going to enjoy it as much because of that struggle. Really set them up for success in that way. Then, while you're reading a book, something that my students hear me say often is slow your roll. So many kids think that the very best readers are the fastest readers, so they're really rushing, and kids are trying to read it fast, and then they're missing out on concepts, missing out on details. So you'll often hear me when I read with kids say, slow your roll. It's okay. I want you to be sounding out words. If somebody tells you they never get stuck on words, then they're just obviously not reading enough. Everyone gets stuck on words sometimes. So slow it down, listen to yourself read, and try your best. Use strategies while you're reading. For younger readers, looking at pictures, sounding it out. For those little, 3 and 4 letter words works great. For older readers, you're going to have to sound out in a chunk it sort of way, prefix, base word, and suffix, or chunking it out by syllables as they get to those longer words. Skipping words is another great strategy when they're stuck. A lot of times if they skip the hardest word and read the rest of the sentence, they can go back and reread that sentence, and a lot of times because of the meaning and the context, they'll be able to get that trickier word. Focus your child on reading for meaning, not just word attack. We don't just read to say words, we read to get what the point from the author is. Question things that don't make sense. That's one thing that will help your child read for meaning and understand the story better. If a child makes an error like maybe the text says, I ate my snack in the house, and your child says, I ate my snack in the horse. What I do is when a child makes an error like that, I let them make the error. I see if they self-correct or if they start in on the next sentence. If they start in on the next sentence, they're not reading for meaning. They haven't heard the error as I eat my snack in a horse, which doesn't make any sense. So at that point, I stop them and I say, wait, hold on. You just said, I ate my snack in a horse. Does that make sense? Let's try it again. And then I get them to the point where they can read, I ate my snack in the house. If they say, I ate my snack in the home, but the word was actually house, I just let that go. There's plenty of opportunities to correct beginning and struggling readers. So if the error makes sense, I just let them plow through. Their brain is working faster than their eyes, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. If they make a grammar error, something that really might still make sense but isn't good grammar, I do correct that, because if they read it incorrectly over and over, they're going to write it that way, they're going to speak that way. So I will make grammar corrections as well, but just be careful with how often you're correcting errors. The goal is that they'll correct themselves, so we point out opportunities for them to do that on their own and encourage them to do that if they're not, but we don't correct every single mistake that they make as they're reading. For older readers, make sure to encourage them to annotate or take notes. We work on that a lot at school, so they should be pretty familiar with what to underline, what to circle, what to box in, trying to help them decipher what's important and what's not. While they're reading, I also try to help them make personal connections to the text. Does this remind you of our dog? Or, that time when we went to the park and rolled down the hill, or whatever. Anytime that they can make a connection to the text, it helps the information stick. And talk about the text. I have a lot of after activities that involve reflection and discussing what went on during the text, but that can, of course, be done while you're reading and should be done while you're reading as well, not just as an after type of activity. But so after they read, we want to try to make sure it sticks. So there's all sorts of strategies. We help students reflect, analyze, evaluate, make inferences, compare and contrast. We talk about cause and effect and summarizing, main idea and details, drawing conclusions, fact and opinion, sequence, retelling the story first, next, then last, problem and solution, You can talk about the author's purpose. There's a good acronym for that, PIE. P-I-E. Was the author trying to persuade, inform, or entertain? So that's a way to talk about the text. Talk about plot or point of view. You can add to your notes or annotations at that point, and that's a great activity. You can have students write, draw pictures and label them, write sentences, write paragraphs, retell the story to someone else. And of course, one of the best activities after reading is to reread. You don't have to read the book back to back, but read it again the next day. You'll pick up more details in the story than you did the first time, I'm sure, and you'll be able to read it more fluently. So I hope that gives you some ideas of how to read books at home with your child. Thank you for your efforts, both parents and students. I know this is tricky right now, but we sure do appreciate all that's going on at home. And if you have questions, again, email me anything. I would love to help you out more. Thanks for watching and listening. Bye.